What's up, gamers? How's it going? You having a good time? What are you up to? What are you doing? Huh? You're gonna just adjust the old mic again, time honored tradition. Adjust the mic at the beginning of the stream. Could have done this before. Didn't. Doesn't matter. Here we are. All right. We're just hanging out. I did this whole episode that we threw away. Because it sucked. It sucked. It was an episode of me just trying to get some Ornstein and Smog co-op, and it just didn't happen, like, at all. Why am I looking for the skull lantern? We don't need that. Wait a minute. Yeah, we do. Where is the skull lantern? What's going on here? Did I accidentally put it away? Off to a great start. Check the bottomless box. Where's that dang old skull lantern at, huh? There it is. Why'd I put it away, huh? What'd we do that for? Alright, so, yeah, this episode is predominantly going to be me just farming for souls. I'll chip in and I'll talk here and there when I feel like talking. But not gonna lie, there might be some long pauses before I say anything because I'm probably just gonna kind of zone out and just do my thing, you know what I mean? We'll talk about maybe the future of the run and what we're looking forward to, what we're doing, what's going on, blah, 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 blah. But I'm just letting you know right now that if you wanted to skip an episode, this wouldn't be that bad of an episode to skip, more than likely. So just bear that in mind. Yeah, we're gonna get some full freaking souls. We need those. Oh, Patches, my beloved. My one true love, Patches. Oh shit. Well, die, please. Nice. Doodly doo, doodly doo. It occurs to me we don't need to have this gold ring on, because that doesn't do dick or squat. So I mean, I guess we can put Havels on, but to what end, right? There isn't really an end. None of these guys drop any. Actually, I think Big Skeleton Man might really rarely drop Muramasa or Murakumo. I think it might be Murakumo. I could be entirely wrong on that. Either way, though, the rare drop is, like, so unimportant to us that we're just not even gonna bother with it, frankly. We're just chilling down here in the darkness. I like the darkness down here. It's really cozy. It's really cozy because there's no unknown to this place for me at all. Like, I know every inch of where everything is down here. So, I don't know. I'm the sort of person, like, even in real life, I like kind of like tight, cramped, claustrophobic sorts of places. I just think they're kind of cozy and nice. So, I don't know. Tomb of the Giants just kind of gives that for me, where we're just, like, kind of hanging out down here. And it's, like, a really quiet area, too. Listen real quick. You can hear the panting of the... Well, don't ignore that. The panting of the skeleton dog, you can hear it. Listen. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice, that little guy? He's just right here out of sight. He's just breathing quietly, panting. Now he's dead. Give us your soul juice. I'm pretty sure that rarely these guys drop Murakumo, which is a pretty good sword. I would even wager you should do a build for Murakumo one day. Bam. Beautiful. How many souls is a level up? About 20,000, not great, not terrible. And we're in our getting our damage era right now. What to prioritize first, huh? A wise man would do dexterity first and then faith later. But am I wise? We'll split the difference. What if we alternate? You know what's something that has also occurred to me? Something that I've done before on my own playthroughs off stream. Not like on this character, but I mean just like in the past on different characters. Is, you know, on New Game Plus. On New Game Plus, the enemies drop even more souls. So what you can do, if you really want to farm out your character's levels as quick as you can, is you can just beat the whole ass game, which, trust me, I understand the irony. It kind of defeats the point of finishing the build, right? To finish the whole game first and then finish the build afterwards. But I've done it before where I go, you know, I'm already going to play this character on New Game Plus anyway. What if I just go around again as quick as I can and get back to Tomb of Giants and then farm them here where they're worth even more souls the next time? Wouldn't that be something? Kinda cool, right? But nah, we won't do that this time because the idea is to just do like a nice, you know, real quick and easy, in and out, one playthrough, Dragon Slayer. Ooh, I raggroed him. He might get me. Nope. Another thing we can do that I've been thinking of lately is we could go farm the skeleton babies. They're not bad souls either, and you get humanity at the same time. They're kind of annoying to fight. And you know, like, it's pretty likely one of them is going to sneak in a hit on you here and there, and my low stats, it's just so easy to get afflicted with toxic, and then once I have toxic, that's a tricky situation to be in down there with my low stats, my low health, and I hate the idea of like the farming getting cut short and I have to walk my ass all the way back out there again and blah 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 blah. Hey, what mask did I get, come to think of it? When I killed Pinwheel. I don't remember which mask I got. I must not have picked up the mask, whichever mask I got from killing Pinwheel. That's actually kind of funny to think that, like, I just left it on the ground there. I should run the video back and watch me walking away from the mask I left on the floor. It doesn't matter. We were never going to wear it, but I'm always curious to see which one I get every playthrough. For those of you who don't know, you can buy a mask from patches after you kill Nito. So, like, you can ultimately get whatever mask you want if you're determined to get a particular mask. Ooh, my kitty cat's down here, and she is meowing. Does the episode have to be cut short because kitty cat wants attention? Here, I'll give you a little pet. Meow meow. Hold on one second. Kitty has to be pet a little more. Yeah, you're a kitty cat. Meow meow meow. Meow 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 meow. You know what's funny is that my cat, my partner is currently not here. My partner, he's currently on a trip. He's in Alabama. And the cat usually hangs out upstairs all day with my partner, who does not work, you know, who almost never leaves the house, who is pretty much From sun up to sundown every day. He wakes up, he's in the house hanging out with the cat. So the cat's very attached to my partner. And you know, what's funny is that with the cat's down here and meowing and demanding my attention, and I'm giving the cat my attention because I love her. But what's funny is that I don't think she even really wants me to like pet her or hang out with her or give her attention down here in the basement where I am. We live on the top floor of this house, my partner and I. I think what the cat is really trying to get me to do is she's saying, hey, come back upstairs. I don't want to hang out with you down here. I'm tired of being down here with you. I want you to go upstairs to where I live normally with your boyfriend and come up here because I'm tired of being alone up there. So get your butt out of the chair and come upstairs. But what Kitty Cat doesn't know is she doesn't make the rules. She doesn't make the rules. I play, my computer's down here. I play down here. Hang out with me down here. So I make her hang out with me down here. And she tolerates it. It's better than being alone. And she likes getting pet. Yes, she does. Already almost 100,000, and we've already spent like 40. So like, I mean, you do get frickin' souls from this. It can be so much faster though on New Game Plus. It's like, it's literally like twice as fast on New Game Plus. It's crazy. Oh, so close to 100,000, like on the nose. We'll do a spend. And yeah, I think we're just gonna alternate on these guys for a little bit here. Get some of that. Some of that Dragon Slayer spear damage. All right, all right, all right. I've really wanted to play Dark Souls 2 lately for, you know, no reason. No reason. I'm an addict, dude. I've played through all these games so many freaking times. 2 is incredible. I mean, goodness. I've said it before, I'll say it again. The beginning of 2 is so mean. It's so annoying. They're like, here's your one Estus flask. Also, it's really slow, and the Estus flask barely works, and also you don't have hardly any health or stamina, and rolling is slow, and you don't have it takes so much stamina to use, and your roll doesn't even work all that good, and and when you die, you lose maximum health. And just all this other, like, annoying, like, mean, awful shit. And then the game is just like, also there's 4, technically 5 or 6 different ways that you can go right off the bat. And none of them is, like, obviously the right way forward. You go figure it out. Okay, go. So, like, at the beginning of Dark Souls 2, you're just, like, so lost and confused and ill-equipped, and you just have to watch all of your resources just, like, dwindling away as everything beats the shit out of you, and you have to fumble with the controls and acclimate to a new system of, like, stamina usage, and everything feels kind of different, and I mean, Dark Souls 2, it's really mean beginning. That's for sure. But as the game starts opening up, you know, as you start kind of getting over the hurdles to starting Dark Souls 2, and you do get your flask charges so that you can sip a bunch of times and not need to use life gems constantly. And you get your adaptability levels so that you have enough agility where the roll actually works again. And then you get a weapon worth a damn, and you start familiarizing yourself with how to efficiently use stamina in Dark Souls 2 and all that, and blah, 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 blah. What ends up happening is, like, 2 is just such a satisfying single-player RPG. It is so, like, all the different locales you go to are so cool. The builds that you can make in Dark Souls 2 are so interesting, and not just like casting, though. Like, obviously, I mean, not obviously, I haven't brought it up yet, but like as an aside, rather, the spell casting in Dark Souls 2 is really, really fun, really cool, really varied, interesting spells that are also really, really strong too. Spell casting's really good. But like, also just the melee builds that you can make are so cool. Like, don't get me wrong, if you want to, you can just be like a guy who swings a claymore around. And that's fun. I mean, claymore is one of my first true loves in the Dark Souls series. Claymore is great. I'm not shit talking claymore. But what I am saying is that, like, if you want to do something with depth and like a bunch of interesting moves and ways that you can like customize how you're going to do your melee build with a bunch of different options and sidearms and blah, 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 blah. Like, Dark Souls 2 has got you covered. There are so many cool power stanced weapon combos that you can play with. I love, like, rapier main hand, dagger offhand. I like double maces, double great swords, double ultra great swords, spear, rapier, sword, mace. Like, there's a lot of really, really fun two-handing melee combos in Dark Souls 2. I also really like, in one of the DLCs, Artorias's sword makes an appearance as a weapon you can get. The sword that Artorias uses against you in the Dark Souls 1 DLC. And what's really cool is that, in the lore, we were told that Artorias is left-handed, but he fights us with his right hand because his left arm is broken when we see him in the Dark Souls DLC, right? So he has to use his non-dominant hand to fight us, meaning he's not even fighting at full strength. But anywho, as a fun little Easter egg, when you put Artorias's greatsword that you can get in Dark Souls 2, when you put it in your left hand instead of your right hand, you get a unique moveset that has the somersault slam move from Artorias's boss fight as a move that you can do as the player. And that is just so freaking cool. I really think that's awesome. I think on the whole, the NPCs aren't as interesting in Dark Souls 2 as Dark Souls 1's NPCs are. But the ones that are quality are like supreme quality. I'm thinking primarily of Lucatiel right now. Lucatiel of Mirah is just a simply phenomenal NPC. I love her story so much. It's, tragic. Because it's Dark Souls, right? So everyone meets a tragic end one way or another. No, there's no happy endings in From Software games. Everyone meets an unhappy end in all of their video games. But yeah, Lucatiel's amazing. I really like her. I'm trying to think about like other notable NPC storylines that are like actually interesting. I mean, sword hunter guy, who cares, right? Pyromancy lady, who cares? You can tell that I don't like none of the other NPCs. I'm even remembering their names. So Moglin, who cares? Shalaquar, who cares? Blue Sentinel guy, who cares? Yeah, I guess all the other NPC storylines are kind of weak. Oh, you know what? You know what? I take it back. Vengrol. Vengrol, my boy. We love him. He's great. Kind of silly. No spoilies. But Vengrol is very, very fun. I like his storyline. And I think that even though Dark Souls 2 might have overall weaker NPCs than Dark Souls 1, it makes up for it in that the Scholar of the First Sin is a fascinating character. And I really like the role he plays in Dark Souls 2's narrative, even though, you know, I'm being intentionally cryptic here and not trying to spoil too much for people who haven't played the game. But ultimately, most of what the Scholar of the First Sin has to say to you ends up being kind of more cryptic philosophical nonsense, which kind of every other NPC is always spitting out at you all the time, cryptic philosophical nonsense. And certainly the Scholar does, you know, more of that. But when you really dig into the nitty-gritty of who he is and what he's been trying to accomplish and how he's been trying to do it and what the first sin is, at least according to his interpretation, I don't know. I think he's one of the most compelling and possibly even one of the most important NPCs in the entire Dark Souls universe. And I think that's a... Ooh, my controller's not... Do the thing, controller. There we go. I think that is definitely part of the reason why I like Dark Souls 2 so much. That and Shrine of Amana, am I right? Heyo! Did you know Dark Souls 2 is a first-person shooter? That's right. Leave your favorite Shrine of Amana memory in the comments below. If you're listening and you've played Dark Souls 2, tell me your favorite thing about Shrine of Amana. We have gotten levels, that's for sure. We are getting somewhere. We absolutely do not need to farm ourselves, you know, all the way up to completion on the build. The reason I'm focusing damage is because the way I'm thinking about it is like, okay, well, I mean, if we just focus damage, then like we can just get all of the health and stamina as we kill bosses and get like boss soul rewards, you know? I'm not really like tripping on the rest of that stuff. Don't get me wrong, more stamina and health is always useful. Many people have remarked upon it in the past, so I know I'm not exactly being a trailblazer here when I bring this up, but something that I would like to sing the praises of right now is, isn't it amazing how little stuff, like how much how minimal the UI is when you play these games. I mean, really, like, look at what's on the screen right now. We got a couple of health bar, health bar and a stamina bar, a number in the top left. Got the little cross grid thing in the bottom left that just shows like what we're using right now. We got a number of souls in the bottom right. That's it. Everything else is just like, look, here's your character on the screen doing stuff. Now do them. And I think that's awesome. I love how elegant and uncluttered these games are when you're playing them. Now, is there a bunch of like nonsense in the menus? Absolutely. There's tons of numbers and clutter and all this other stuff to look at in the menus. And that's because this is a pretty like traditional, like crunchy RPG. Just another thing I like about it. But I get, people don't. That's that's a matter of personal taste. That's all I'm trying to say. But at least when you're playing these games, and the menus are all put away, oh, they're just so elegant, so simple. I think that's great. They're just pure game. Yeah, give me a point of faith. Can we, come to think of it, now that I have all this faith, because we can, as long as we don't rest at another bonfire, we can just homeward bone right back here. And I think I have enough faith to become a warrior of sunlight now, which I need to do. I do, yes. So I can become a warrior of sunlight, which is great. Because I gotta rank up the warrior of sunlight covenant if I'm going to get sunlight spear and great lightning spear. So look forward to that. That's nice. Okay, oh, don't rest at the bonfire. Don't rest at the bonfire. Don't goof it up here. We're using a bone to go right back to the soul farming place. Nice. Yeah, and that's cool. Because we're getting all this faith, right? So I mean, like, we may as well get some miracles to do some damage. Scale off all this faith. It's a fun build is like you do pyromancy in one hand and then your other casting system of choice in the other hand. So, pyromancy and sorcery or pyromancy and faith. And then you just have two casting implements out, one in each hand. Mash through the top spell menu like a madman. Some people really hate on Magic users for not experiencing the true game. And while I will concede that there is merit to the sentiment that Magic makes many parts of the game easier than it makes harder. So overall, the Magic experience is easier than the more traditional melee hack and slash experience. There are still some things that being a Magic user makes more difficult. For instance, Magic users tend to have a lot less health. So they tend to get like one shot by shit, which, makes them kind of a glass cannon, high risk, high reward sort of experience. Now, that being said, it's not exactly the end of the world because you can usually annihilate shit from way far away before they even get to attack you, so no big deal there. But even then, even if it is true, which it is, that Magic makes the game overall more easy, isn't the purpose of games to, like, experientially, like, be fun? Well, now that's a big question, actually, and it reminds me of H-Bomb's video essay on pathologic, which asks the question, is fun the only experience that video games have to offer? And is there any merit to another experience, namely misery? Can it be worthwhile to willingly participate in a video game that is actively trying to cultivate the experience of misery? But I didn't mean to open that can of worms. What I'm trying to get at is, I think we all agree that most of the time we're playing games to just like have some fun. And like, who kind of cares if magic makes the game easier? Like, it's kind of bitching to blow shit up with like spells all the time. Like, it's kind of cool to go bang and kill things with a big like thunderbolt or shit. And like, let's be real, like no one's really impressed that you beat Dark Souls. Like, I'm impressed. I'm impressed, me. But I'm like a nerd that like cares about, like, the vast majority of people you walk up to them and go, ha, I beat Dark Souls and I only used a dagger. They're not gonna be like, whoa, you're so cool. They're gonna be like, yeah, anyways, like, keep fucking making my coffee or whatever, you know, like, yeah, cool. Anyways, I don't know. Look, I work in the service industry, so my only time to talk to strangers is when I'm assisting them with something. So I just think about, anyways. So like, just kind of do you, like, and especially another thing I think about it is you're limiting the scope of experiences that you can have in this world if you only, you know, if you place limits on yourself and you say, like, I can only have the things in this box under this condition. You know, I'm not allowed to have this because I haven't done this. I'm not allowed to participate in this activity because, you know, some other constraint. I think that's wrong in some regards. Don't get me wrong, like, it can be for good. You can use it to make healthy habits. You know, I'm not out here espousing a hatred for all forms of self-control. I think self-control is good. But I'm just saying that, like, coming to these preconceived notions of what is and isn't, like, noble or just behavior when it comes to your own entertainment, at least when those constraints are concerned with the play styles offered within a video game, are, you know, it's kind of whack behavior, in my opinion. Like, let loose, have some fun, try something new. There are definitely situations where limiting what you do for fun is the right move, you know? Like, I wouldn't suggest you go, like, killing baby seals or some shit. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I think, like I said, I think self-restraint can be a good thing. I'm generally not in favor of it. I'm kind of a hedonistic sort of guy. And I fess up to that. It's not a virtue, it's a vice. But come on, this is Dark Souls. We're talking about a video game, baby. Throw some lightning bolts around. Shoot a soul spear. Cast a great fireball. They feel so good. Oh, they're so fun. Look at me. Look at me killing these guys in one hit. It's amazing. We really are starting to get some damage now, I think, by the way. And that's nice. According to the old meter here, we're at about 273 physical plus an additional about 153 lightning, which is no small amount of damage. It's quite a bit. We've certainly eclipsed the Gravelord sword by a substantial margin per hit now. And that's even accounting for split damage. And do remember that the Dragon Slayer spear hits faster than the Gravelord sword does too. So we're definitely doing more damage now than our Gravelord sword ever did, which is nice. Very nice. I am tempted to call the farming soon and just move on with our live. At the same time, though, wouldn't it be nice to get like all 40 of our decks? And if we're going to level up our decks, I mean, we may as well get some faith along the way, too. Oh, shit, we aggroed you. Yeah, we're dead. I don't think I can respond to you in time. I'm going to just rest. It's more annoying to recover this and kill you than it is to just walk back here, rest, and take this again. I almost did it again, by the way. I almost accidentally aggroed them. I said this was going to be a low commentary stream, but I have just been yapping. Uh-oh, we did it again. Oh, no. He jumped off the side. That's funny. You see I took out the spear? I was going to whoop his ass. God, that spear looks so cool. Look at this thing. It's beautiful. I love spears so much, you guys. I'm not saying spears are my favorite weapon class, because that's probably thrusting swords. I love a good thrusting sword. Something like, I don't know. Can't go wrong with a classic plain Jane rapier. S stock is best stock. Ricard's rapier is great. Getting outside of Dark Souls 1 into Dark Souls 2, Espada Ropera. Oh, I love me an Espada Ropera. What an amazing magical thrusting sword that is. Rapier build in Dark Souls 2 honestly goes hard. Also a big fan of rapier. I already said thrusting swords. I'm also a big fan of hammers. I really like hammers. So let's talk about that for a second. I feel like I have some shit to say, and then I'll also say fist weapons. I like fist weapons. So let's talk of all three, and fuck it, spears too. We'll get to spears at the end. So rapiers and thrusting swords and that whole family are really fun because you're so mobile, because they tend to attack really lightly, really quickly, use a little teeny tiny bit of stamina. So the downside, of course, is that, well, I hesitate to even say this for things we're going to mention right after this, but the downside, theoretically, is that thrusting swords don't do that much damage, but that they attack quick and light, and you can, you know, fence and dance around. That is the theoretical downside. Now, in my opinion, the options that you have at your disposal to, like, capitalize on the damage from a thrusting sword are so many, so varied, and so strong that you can crank out insane numbers on thrusting swords, completely offsetting their supposed downside. I'm talking about Leo Ring. I'm talking about counter damage in general. I'm talking about how you can pretty much, like, yeah, maybe you aren't hitting that hard per hit, but, like, to think about, like, the Claymore, for instance. Think about how the Claymore, A, attacks so slow, and then B, because it attacks so slow, you have to secure yourself a much larger opening to be able to go on the offensive and to make an attack. You have to spend a lot more time solely focused on dodging on heavier weapons to get those nice chunky attacks to squeeze in, right? But for something like a thrusting sword that can attack really often and really quickly, you can kind of functionally, like, constantly be poking with a thrusting sword and hardly ever stop wailing on the enemy. Meaning that you get so many attacks in. In my mind, that completely offsets the so-called downside of not doing that much damage with now. Another downside about thrusting swords, and this is shared by spears, is that because everything's a poke, you do have to be quite accurate with them. But you know what? Lock-on is your friend. You don't have to manually aim the rapier every single time you hit with it. Don't get me wrong. Ooh, hey, look, a Murakumo. Nice. Don't get me wrong, if you do manually aim your spears and thrusting swords, there are some really nice things you can do with that. But I would say that 85 to 90% of weapon swings that you take with a spear or a thrusting sword don't really necessitate free aim at all. I mean, free aim is mostly useful for, you could kind of think of it as pre-firing enemies, you know, attacking them before you can see them around corners. And then you can also think of it as, aiming at angles that lock-on would not normally allow you to aim at to hit an enemy, you know, by either attacking way up in the air or way down at your feet to really get someone. Or if you're gonna change direction mid-animation, unlocking is really good for that too. But like 85 to 90% of the time, you really don't. So I mean, like again, I feel like that's a downside to thrusting swords and spears that you can offset. Is just lock on, you know? It's not that, if I take out this spear right here, if I die, it's okay. If I take out this spear right here, it's really not that big of a deal to hit my man. I kind of knew that was going to happen. But, like, the accuracy thing is not a biggie. And yeah, I mean, no, we technically only talked about the weaknesses of spears and thrusting swords, but in the process of doing so, I feel like I've listed all of their strengths, which is that the sheer maneuverability of using them, counter damage is really good. Uh-oh, we can't die here, we'll lose our bloodstain. So I don't really feel like I have to talk about them. Plus, I just think they're cool. One more advantage of thrusting swords that we haven't mentioned yet is that they tend to do higher riposte damage than most weapon types, which is really nice for backstabs and parries. Now, it's not as much riposte or backstab damage as, say, a dagger, but nothing can match a dagger. The dagger is unparalleled in that particular metric. That's the one big thing that daggers do the best. So to get all of those other bonuses that we just talked about, and both spears and thrusting swords also get higher riposte damage, that's really nice. It just makes thrusting swords so versatile. One more thing, and then we'll move on from them. Another thing that I really like about thrusting weapons and spears is that they tend to be, not all of them, but they tend to be really, really heavily weighted into the dex stat. And the nice thing about that is that it makes them really easy to squeeze into a lot of different builds, like casting builds or things like that. Because unlike weapons like I'm using right now, where I need to have all this strength just to be able to hold this darn thing, you can usually have a character that has like 6 or 7 strength or something insanely low, and then just a bunch of dexterity, and be able to use like every rapier in the game. And that just means it frees up a lot of stats if you want like a lot of health or a lot of stamina or a lot of faith or a lot of intelligence. Or, don't get me wrong, weapons that take both a lot of strength and a lot of dexterity have their own advantages. We call those quality weapons. And they tend to have some of the highest damage potentials in the game as a reward for all of those damage stats that you must sink into them. But that being said, there is still something nice about something that's really stat efficient and just leans on one of the weapon damage stats and can really be squeezed into a wide variety of builds. When we eventually talk about spears, I feel like I've already said here before. I know I was going to do spears fourth, but real quick, let's just talk about spears and why I love them, but not as much as thrusting weapons, even though I do absolutely love spears. So a spear is essentially exactly like a thrusting sword in every other way, except that it's a little slower, a little heavier, tends to use a little more stamina, tends to require a little bit more stat investment to be able to get the most use out of them. But the thing that you get back out of them is that they're a lot longer, right? So, you know, you lose some of that versatility that we just mentioned because you tend to get most of your damage from dex on spears, but require a lot more strength to hold them and to use them well. They tend to be heavier, so they're not as easy to squeeze into your equip loadouts. You know, you can't be as maneuverable with them. They require more of a stamina commitment for each weapon swing. But damage is usually great on them. Really great spear damage, almost always. And you get pretty much every other benefit from the thrusting weapon category. And they're longer. They're long as fuck. Spears tend to have some of the longest reach in the game, which just makes sense if you think about it, right? Oh boy, we are leveling. So okay, we covered thrusting weapons and spears. Let's talk about some of my other favorite weapon types. I believe we said fists and or maces, or rather hammers. I call them hammers because that's what they're referred to in the game. Hammers and fist weapons. You know, it's kind of funny that we talked about thrusting weapons and spears, and now we're talking about hammers and fist weapons, because in a lot of ways, hammers and fist weapons have the same relationship that thrusting weapons and spears do, but just kind of like in reverse. So let me get into that real quick. So what's attractive about a hammer? And when I think hammer, by the way, I usually think just like, in Dark Souls 1 context, I usually think of just like plain old reliable mace. Nothing fancy. No, you can just start with one as a cleric. You can just buy one from Andre. Just good old mace. Club is also good though too. Blacksmith hammer is totally good. We love blacksmith hammer. My point being, there's a lot of really generic, really easy to obtain, just straightforward, hit them with a stick maces. What's great about them? Well, similar to kind of what we just said about rapiers, they do have the stat efficient thing going on where maces tend to be heavily weighted into strength and just strength, which is nice because without having to level another weapon stat, you can kind of squeeze them into a build with what, and if you don't want them, do like strength faith or strength intelligence or something like that, or get strength and like a ridiculously high endurance score, or you know, none of that sounds interesting to you, you can literally just push strength like into the soft cap of diminishing returns and just get like 60 strength or some shit like that. That's like really silly, and you won't see as much of an efficient investment on your return for going that high into strength as you would into splashing into another skill, but like you'll still see damage on it. And strength weapons will do an obnoxious amount of damage when they start getting up to 50, 60 strength and so on. I've made a character on Dark Souls 2. His name is Uncle Smashy, and he has 99 strength. That's right. I have a 99 strength character in Dark Souls 2. He's very fun. The point of diminishing returns for strength in Dark Souls 2, where it becomes like pointless to invest strength anymore, kicks in at like 60. So I ostensibly wasted 39 levels. Except I didn't, and I'll tell you why. I didn't get like any more damage at all from those 39 levels, so you may be like, well then how are they not a waste? Well, dear viewer, there is a hammer, a great hammer, an ultra great hammer in Dark Souls 2, called the Smelter Hammer. And to one-hand it requires 99 strength. So I leveled it up that high to be able to one-hand it. It might not be that high. It might just be like 60. But the point is that, like, it takes an obnoxious amount, and then I did it for the meme. Maybe I'm talking out my ass. Doesn't matter. I'm starting to doubt myself now that I'm saying that. So hammers. They're stat efficient just like rapiers are. But in a lot of other ways, they're different. So both rapiers and spears have pretty good reach. Hammers don't tend to have really good reach. They tend to be kind of close range weapons. So you usually have to get really, like, right on top of your enemy to hurt them as a hammer user. But they do amazing damage, and critically, the thing that makes hammers really, really nice is they stagger enemies like crazy. If you've never used a mace before, go give it a go. Because it is so silly how you can two-hand a mace and just repeatedly hit a tough enemy over and over again. And like every single hit, they just get staggered. Like every single one. So they just stand there and you just hit them over and over again. And they flinch and they flinch and they flinch and they flinch and they flinch. And then you just, you know, okay, let's kill this guy. Let's beat him to death with hammers. Like we did it. Another thing that's nice about them is that the physical damage types have a bunch of different types of damage, which is a tautology, but hear me out. So oh my god. You know what's funny, dear viewer, is I've just realized that this is a recording, not a stream. So, okay. That's fine. Interesting. I guess we'll just upload it. Fuck it. Whatever. Doesn't matter. These are all just VODs anyways. Everyone watches them in the VOD if they watch them at all. So we'll just keep saving. Let me just make sure that, I mean, I guess if I'm saving to my computer. Let me just check that I actually have disk space. Yeah, I have disk space. It's okay. All right. So we'll just keep fucking recording. Whatever. That's fine. It's fine to me. So anyway. Anyway, back to hammers. So the different physical damage types are good against different types of enemies, right? And hammers obviously do blunt damage unless they're the pickaxe. More about the pickaxe later. And blunt damage tends to be really good against some of the trickiest types of enemies in the game. And in particular, blunt damage is amazing in Dark Souls 2. For reasons we'll get into. So blunt damage tends to be really good against heavily armored foes. So like knights, you know, people that are wearing metal armor, you hit them with a hammer, they tend to take a lot of extra damage from blunt. These skeletons also take damage from blunt. I don't know if you noticed earlier when I tested the Dragon Slayer Great Spear against the skeleton dogs here, they took a pitiful amount of damage, and the reason for that is threefold. 1, split damage. 2, Dragon Slayer Spear, one of the 2 split damage types is thrust, and even though I was just singing the praises of thrust weapons, like any other damage type, it has enemies that are resistant to it. And skeletons are resistant to thrust, and if you think about it, it makes sense. If I poked a bone with a sharp stick, it wouldn't really do much, right? Maybe you'd even get stuck in the bone, and then you'd be disarmed. But I mean, like, if I smashed a bone with a hammer, it would get pretty fucked up, right? So that's why skeletons take way more damage from blunt damage, but they don't take hardly any thrust damage at all. And then another thing is that skeletons don't take, like, hardly any lightning damage at all. So not only is Dragon Slayer Spear doing reduced damage from thrust, but it's also getting reduced damage from lightning, and it's getting reduced damage from being split. So, like, of course, Dragon Slayer Spear is doing pitiful damage down here. That's fine. But on the other hand, a hammer or a flame hammer, oh baby, would tear stuff up down here. And it's nice to have a damage type that's really strong against, like, heavily armored knights, because those tend to be some of the trickiest enemies in the game to fight. Steel Knights, Silver Knights, Black Knights, Balder Knights, any enemy that's wearing armor, you can just crack their skull with a hammer, and it is awesome. Blunt damage for that reason tends to be really, really good in Dark Souls 2, because one of the jokes people make about Dark Souls 2 that is true, it's absolutely true, is that like 90% of the enemies in Dark Souls 2 are just dudes in armor. And using a mace in Dark Souls 2 kind of feels amazing, because you just walk around and do, like, extra damage to everyone, because, like, everyone is just some sort of knight. So more or less that's hammers. There's not much more to say about hammers, because, you know, hammers are simple. Mechanically, intuitively, ideologically, big heavy stick. We hit enemy with big stick, they go ow, you know, cronk smash. That's what hammer is. So I kind of said that hammers and fist weapons have kind of the same relationship that rapiers and spears do, just kind of inverted. And when I say that, what I mean is that, like, spears tended to be the more heavily invested version, that in response to the heavier investment, as compared to thrust weapons, got further range, slower, and heavier. And fist weapons tend to be a heavier stat investment than hammers, because they tend to want both strength and dexterity. So that's true. That's not inverse from the thrusting sword spear relationship. But everything else that I just said about spears to rapiers is inverted for fist weapons to hammers. That is to say that though fist weapons take a higher stat investment to see the big damage numbers on them, they are lighter, they are faster, and they are shorter ranged. They tend to do about an equivalent amount of damage as hammers, but you still get the great stagger damage. You still interrupt people like a motherfucker with fist weapons. You still have really, really good damage output. You still have the nice, like, attractive blunt damage weapon type. Of course, you can't do hardly any damage. Like, you don't have hardly any range at all, is what I'm trying to say. Because look, like, here's a bare fist. My character's using a bare fist right now. Like, this is a fist weapon. Look how short this is. There's nothing, right? Like, that's not good. So it's like the shortest range damage or weapon type in the game. So you have to deal with that. And it's a trickier prospect than you think it is. You learn real quick that there are quite a few enemies in this game that are a lot harder to fight when you have to get, like, literally, like, skin to skin contact with them. Like, your nose is resting on their shoulder to punch them and hit them. But if you can close the gap and get in there, fist weapons can be so fun. Another thing that's nice about fist weapons is that you can tend to be able to dual wield them and, like, kind of move around like a boxer. And you can usually still parry with your left-handed fist weapon, which is awesome. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. There's a bunch of weapon types I really like. Technically, the Pyromancer Flame is a fist weapon, see? Yeah, we can punch with it. Kitty cat's back. Hold on. Giving her a little pet. Little pet. Doo -doo -doo. I'm probably not going to do this for too much longer. Meow, meow, meow. My cat says meow. I gotta go upstairs and hang out with my cat. The cat wants my attention. She misses me. Meow, meow. Oh yeah? You only want to hang out with me because Nico's not here. Why aren't you my friend all the time, huh? Why coming down here now? Uh-huh. Okay, so you're going through a hard time now. Now you need... I'm just kidding. I'm deeply sympathetic to my little creature. I love her so much. And right now I'm her whole world and she wants to say hi. I love you too. Kitty, kitty, kitty. You should get a cat. If you don't have a cat, get a cat. They're awesome. We love cats. When we started soul farming, the level was 20,000 souls. It's now up to 40,000. Zooey mama. What is the Dragon Slayer Spear's AR at? 183 plus 166? Or 283 plus 166. Pretty good. Pretty good, pretty good, pretty good. Not bad at all, not bad at all. Definitely not bad at all. Alright, you know what? I'm too sympathetic to my cat right now. She wants to hang out. So we're gonna call it right. The cat wants to say hi. I will hang out with you, kitty cat. Yes, I love you. I will spend some time with you. I'm just gonna spend some time with the cat. It was good. Thanks for coming to Deliberately Dumb Dark Souls. We did some soul farming. We doubled the amount of souls it takes for us to level up. We got a whole bunch of weapon stats. If we wanted to, we could just start beating the rest of the game when we come back. And I might just do that. I might get the vast majority of the rest of the souls just from playing the game, which would be fun, right? We love to play the game. So we might just do that. Hope you're having fun. Have a good time. See you next time. And thanks for coming to Deliberately Dumb Dark Souls.